Hello,
Hi, hello.
how are you?
I'm fine. And you?
I'm good. It's nice to meet you. My name is Jenny. I'm from the United States.
Hi, Jenny. My name is Daniel and I'm from Peru.
Peru. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
got your note for our reservation today. You said you also are a psychologist.
Yes. I was really curious to know to get to talk to you about psychology since
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I don't know much about how different is the career in the United States.
yeah. So, with psychology in the United States, there's kind of two paths people take. This might be the same in Peru. I'm not as familiar. There's clinical and non clinical, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
clinical would be any of your researcher or any of your practitioners, your psychologists, whatever. And then there's your non-clinical, which is like me, which is the research side.
All right. Well, in Peru, well, at least from the well, I went to college here, and basically, the most popular paths that you can follow are there's a clinical side, there's a we call this like educational would
Mm-hmm.
be, I think. You work basically in schools, and then you have we call here psicología organizacional, and it's basically where you work with enterprises or companies.
Right. Okay.
So
So more of a business side of it.
yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, there's more fields to the to the career of psychology, but those are the main ones, the most popular ones.
So which line do you work in?
I have had experience in the clinical side, because I mean, in when you're about to finish college, or I think, well, I think the appropriate word will be university, because there's a difference, right? I'm still
Still a
learning
little
about,
confused?
yeah, between, because there's this TV show that I've been watching on Netflix that is called Community College,
Okay.
and the other day I was talking about it with my sister that she's currently living in the United States, and she was also kind of cute. She didn't know exactly what was a community college,
Right.
and I still don't know about it. I was reading about it, but maybe you can give me a better idea of what exactly is a college, a community college, and a university.
Yeah. So if you say I went to college, college is the umbrella term. So a college can be a university, a college can be a community college, it can be a private college, any type of university, higher ed, you can just refer to it as when I was in college. So that works for anything. So then
Okay.
a community college is a specific type of college, which usually only lasts 2 years, and they offer more certificates and technical diplomas which don't require advanced study. So maybe you might want to become an electrician, or you might want to work in mechanics, or things that are more like technical skills, or
But
you just want a general college degree.
but it's different, at least the way I see it, because if you're an electrician, at least in Peru, for example, let's say, you don't like, because I think of a college as a place where you go and read books,
Mm-hmm.
and here in Peru, if you want to be an electrician, for example, there's these institutes. I don't know if that would be the appropriate word, but you go there and you study like 3 years top, and yeah, you basically do you practice. You don't go to
Read books
books
and
exactly
things.
there. Yeah, you are more like practice the field that you're
Yeah.
studying.
So that those types of programs exist at community colleges.
Oh, I
They don't
see, I
have
see.
to. So there's programs like that, and then there's also small programs that are more like books, where you just get a general college degree, which is called an associate's degree. which basically means you went to 2 years of school and got foundational coursework across the board. You understand critical thinking, how to do some research, but you're not specialized in any area.
Okay.
So they have those, both those types of programs exist at community colleges.
All right. And then the university, what is a university?
Yeah. So a university is a 4-year school that offers at least a bachelor's degree. You can't get a bachelor's degree at a community college, but you can get a bachelor's degree at a university.
Okay. And yeah, you also can study as well. You can finish the university, and or I think it's a way. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but so you finish, you get a bachelor degree, and then you have to do a dissertation. I think it's the word to get your degree, right?
To get a degree at your school, it depends on what type of program you're in. So most programs have some sort of final project or like a dissertation for some places or things like that, but it's still within your college. It's not after. It's at the same. So it's usually in the last semester you're in university. You would take some sort of final project, and if your department signs off on it, then you get your bachelor's degree. But there's more options after that. Then like people who want to be practicing in clinical psychology need at least a master's degree, if not their PhD. And so those are next steps that are less common, but they still happen.
Yes, because at least here in Peru, when you finish, let's say that you were at least here in Peru, starting from the period of time that you have to study, 5 years. So when you finish the 5 years, you get your bachelor degree, but you have to do research, do a dissertation, and then you get your bachelor degree. Then you have to do another dissertation in order to get the degree of psychologist.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. So yeah, it's a little different. So it's at least in the psychology path. So what happens here is to get a bachelor's degree in psychology, all you have to do is go through your psychology classes at whatever institution you're at. Usually takes about 4 years. And when you finish whatever the institution requires, there's no like board certifying anything. You just finish, you have a bachelor's degree in psychology. A bachelor's degree in psychology in the United States means almost nothing. You can't practice any sort of psychology with it. You can use it to get a job, maybe in marketing or sales, but you can't use it for any sort of mental health profession. So then if you do want any sort of certificate or license to be able to do that, you have to, there's 2 paths next. You either go to get a master's degree or you go to get a PhD. So it depends what level you want to practice at. So a lot of people who are counselors, for example, counselors only need a master's degree. So when they take their master's degree, usually those take about 2 years, sometimes 3. You get more advanced coursework, and that's when you actually start getting observation hours. You start seeing clients, and you have to pass an exam that certifies you to practice mental health. And then same thing with the PhD.
Yes. That's really good, because what I've come to realize since it's been like, I would say, 1 year and a half around that I finished studying in the university, so that I got my degree. Yeah, here in Peru, it's like, if you want to practice psychology, for example, in my college, it's kind of weird now that I think about it, because in the last year, like the first 4 years of studying psychology, yeah, it's basically textbooks, some practice, but when you finish in the last year, you're going to do 1 year of an internship.
Right.
So that year you have to choose if you want to practice in the clinical, or in a school, or in a company or enterprise. So when you finish that internship that year, you get your bachelor degree. Let's say you do your dissertation, and then you get your psychologist degree. So you can practice in any field that you want.
Wow.
Even if you haven't practiced a lot or a year at least in a school, you can go to school, apply, and you can work as a psychologist. And it's crazy because, for example, let's say that you don't have experience in the clinical psychology, and you want to put your own business. I would say, like, you want to I don't know how to say it, but if you want to treat some patients,
Run your
for
own
example,
practice.
like, all right, run your own practice. Thank you. You can do it.
Right.
You can do it because you have. Thank you. You have your degree and you can do it. And it's crazy because if you don't have any preparation, like, yeah, it doesn't make really much
So I
sense,
could go
right?
practice clinical psychology in Peru if I wanted.
I don't know. I don't know because I don't know if the degree that you have
It's transferred
on
in
the
the same
United
way,
States
right?
would,
So I have my bachelor's
yes.
degree in psychology, and then I also went and got a master's degree in experimental psychology. So for experimental psychology, we didn't take any licensure exam or anything like that. But what we did is we focused a lot on research methods and research statistics to study some specific area. So I study cross-cultural psychology and the psychology of romantic relationships. And I look at how romantic relationships are different in different cultures. Is my area of research.
That sounds really interesting, actually, because at least I think that in my university, I mean, I think that universities are mostly built, or at least the way they are built, they focus more on studying and textbook and research, but students don't really like or focus on research. And at least to me, I enjoy doing my dissertation. I don't want to praise about it, but I think it was interesting. I liked it, and I even entered. Well, I didn't enter like a contest. The psychology department wanted me to participate, representing psychology, and I thought, okay, and I wasn't really expecting much, and my my research won the I won the
Cool.
contest. I don't know, and it was really cool. I was like surprised that I didn't feel like, because that year that I was doing my dissertation was also the year that I was doing my internship, and I was really burned out, and I didn't have the energy to work on both.
Right. It's hard.
But it's really hard, and I hope that they change it, because at least here in Peru, if you study medicine, you do your dissertation first, and then you have just your 1 year of internship. In psychology,
they're at the
it's
same
like
time.
both, and it's very
Gotcha.
tiring. So I don't know. What I was trying to say is that I really like research, and I was planning to maybe in my university, like get a job on that. But I was planning also to do my master's degree, but I was planning to do it maybe far ahead in a couple of years, maybe, right? So,
that's cool. Yeah, so it's actually I was so excited that you say you're from Peru, because it's not the same, but it's very close. For my master's thesis, I actually went down to Ecuador, and that's where I collected half of my data. So I did a study on how Ecuadorians and Americans experience romantic relationships differently and think about romantic relationships differently. So I actually lived down in Ecuador for a couple months and collected data from all of my participants. And I got to coach a cheerleading team while I was down there, because I was a cheerleader for 7 years. It was just so
Yeah,
fun to learn
I
about
saw.
culture, but also see how it crosses over in like a Latin American setting, and I loved it. I want to go back.
Yeah, that's so nice. That's really nice. Sorry about my dog. Um, yeah, I mean that sounds fun because I remember this TV show that it was called Lie to
Okay.
Me. I don't know if you have heard about it, but this guy was like a guru of
Yeah.
detecting lies, and he traveled around the world like doing this kind of research. And I don't know, I always felt like that was really cool. Like, yeah, that like psychology, because let me explain a little bit. I think that the way and now, because there are more and more psychologists like that are popping up in TV or anywhere, and I get this feel that psychology is like becoming like, I don't know if in the United States there's these people called coaches, life
Yeah.
coaching and stuff like that. So here in Peru, it's like it's something kind of new, but more and more people are calling themselves coaches or
Right.
coaches, and I feel at least psychologists I know, they don't really like the fact that there's coaches, because they feel like they are invading. I don't know what's
Yeah,
the
invading's
word
a
called
great word for that.
at least in Spanish it's called
Right.
intrusismo, and so
Intruding.
they don't like it. But intruding, yes. But in my case, I think that psychologists, they don't really do much of that stuff. I feel like psychology here in Peru is more becoming like someone that gives people advice, and I don't feel it is a way, because psychology it's a field of research, and basically you, any kind of treatment that you might study have a research
Right.
base
Mm-hmm.
basis. So that's what I feel like I want to go deeper into studying, into doing research and stuff like what you're doing. Also, that I also love
Yeah.
statistics.
Statistics are the coolest.
So yes, yes, and quite beautiful. And it's funny that that's also hand in hand with what I was telling you about, that my colleagues, they don't really like research, because they also are, they don't like statistics. They're
Right.
not really good at it. So that's also hand in hand, but I like it. I love it,
Yeah,
and
it's like what you're saying.
that sounds really fun for you.
Psychology is such a complicated field because it is a science, right? It follows the scientific method of here's the phenomenon, let's test
Yes,
it, let's find the result, let's see if we can repeat it, and that will help us build theory in the same way any other science is. But because so much of it,
yes,
people always say, oh, you needed science to prove that. Like, I could have told you that, right? People say that all the time. And there's a lot of advice giving. It kind of gets skewed and turned into this other field of saying, oh, it's just people acting like they can read minds. But it's not. It's this whole thick field of science. And a good clinical practitioner or a practitioner in a school or a practitioner in a company should be able to read the research to develop their theory. And then that's how they guide the students or the patients or the customers. And that's like where this disconnect that you're
yes, exactly.
describing comes in, where people don't realize that psychology has all these pieces with research methods, with statistics, and it's just a bunch of people telling you how to live your life, which is a lot of what life coaching does. And but in reality, that can be really problematic. Have you ever heard of the love languages, the 5 love languages?
No, but if you
Yeah,
could tell
so
me
the
about it.
5 love languages is this really popular book in the United States. It was developed by this man whose name is Gary Chapman. He is a clinical psychologist for now about 20 years, I think. And he came out with this book suggesting there are 5 ways that people express affection. Just 5. And he wrote this whole book about it. And people who are relationship counselors started using it in their practice, giving it to their clients to say, read it, read it. Because the main premise of his book, I completely agree with, that people express love in different ways. So if you express love in way A, but your partner expresses love in way B, you're always going to have a disconnect because you don't express it the same way. Totally valid. These 5 things he came up with, no data, no research. He just said, I just noticed these come up in my practice. So he wrote this book, and it became a huge hit. And then he started translating it into other languages. And people, he said, like, oh, I thought for a second maybe I shouldn't do it because maybe this isn't the same in other cultures. But then some people who spoke Spanish read the book and they told me I'm fine. So I went ahead and published it anyways. And I have a huge problem with Gary Chapman because of this.
Yeah. But if there are no data,
exactly, there's no data that backs up his theory.
Why not community, science community, like point this out?
That's what I did with my thesis.
Right.
So I was like, yo, you have no data. So I did my whole project on comparing if the love languages exist in the US and then also going down to Ecuador to see if it looked the same. And fun fact, there was not 5 in the United States. There also wasn't 5 in Ecuador. In the United States, I found 4 love languages. In Ecuador, I found 2. And so I used statistical modeling to group together the behaviors to compare how they were different, and behaviors that linked together in in Ecuador didn't link together in the United States. For example, in the United States, physical touch was one defined way of expressing affection, hugging somebody, kissing somebody, showing them physical touch. Another one that was defined in the United States was words of affirmation, is what he calls it. So saying, I love you, I care about you, you're a good partner. Those were 2 different things in the United States. But in my Ecuador data, they all grouped together. The data said, oh, people who like to hug and kiss also say, I love you, you're my best friend, you're my partner. They were part of the same data in Ecuador, but not in the United States. And so that right there shows him like, hey, guess what? A, this idea that there's 5 has no data, and B, this idea that it's the same across the whole world. Like, I went to one other country and it wasn't the same. So who's to say any other country it would be? So yeah, I'm working on trying to get it published in an actual journal, but because I'm working, I never have time to write. But if you're ever interested, I do have it. I have the master's thesis, if you ever want.
That would be interesting because I would really like to read it.
It's really long. So if that link, if you go to the link, there'll be a download button in blue. And then that download button, you can read about it. But it's really long. But there's lots of statistics in it.
Yeah, but at least I can start writing the resume. No, what's the word for?
The abstract, yeah.
Right? The abstract.
Yeah, so you can read the abstract. You can also go down to the materials at the bottom because half of them are in Spanish.
Oh, that's cool. That's why.
Yeah, so I started studying Spanish a long time ago, and I have a lot of gaps in my Spanish, but living in Ecuador for a few months definitely helped kind of brush up my skills a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I'm right here, like practicing English, because I mean, I haven't really practiced my English, my conversation skills, and I was trying to gain confidence.
How long have you been on Cambly?
It's been I did my free trial like a couple of weeks ago, and on Monday I paid my subscription. I was really thinking about it because it's not that cheap, at least to my because right now I'm teaching English as well on basic levels, but I mean it's like 3 times what I make in 1 hour just paying for 1 hour Cambly. And I was like, but I really wanted the experience. I wanted to try how was Cambly, and I'm also doing like starting a YouTube channel because I saw that this guy was uploading videos, and the conversation were interesting, and also like the fact that you can share English knowledge through these conversations because our lessons, our classes, and I wanted to do the same. So I hope like you don't mind that maybe I would upload this video to
go for
my
it.
YouTube channel. Yeah, I hope so, because that would be interesting, like sharing this topic about psychology, like the difference in United States and
Right.
in Peru. That
Yeah,
would be
I
cool
know. It's
actually.
so cool. All of the like tools we have to communicate with other people now. I wish I would have learned about Cambly as soon as it came out because I just absolutely love this work. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wish it paid a little bit more, but I get to meet so many people from so many countries and like learn so many cool things that I wouldn't
Yeah,
otherwise learn. And I think it helps continue just like shaping my
yeah.
perspective of the world. And I don't even have to leave my bedroom.
Yes, that's really cool. I mean, I really like English, and I wish it was one of my native language because I would be doing the same in Cambly. And I don't know if there's one in Spanish.
I know. I've
Maybe
been
I
looking for a
gonna do
good
some
Spanish
research.
program because my problem is I could tell you a whole story in Spanish with a whole mess of grammar, but I can do it fluently and I can do it with lots of vocabulary. And so the problem is when I take like online tests, they always tell me, oh, your level is beginner because I make a lot of mistakes. So they assume that I can't do higher level
I
things, but I can. It's just that I mess up on small because my learning has been like I'll be in class for 2 years and then I have 2 years with no instruction. So it's constantly. I've been trying to research. I reached out to my high school Spanish teacher and I asked her if she has any suggestions for good textbooks.
well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I wish I could help you, but I don't really, I haven't studied. I mean,
Right,
yeah, I can speak Spanish, but I haven't studied
right.
like the grammar rules.
Yeah, don't
So
worry about it. You're
I don't
fine.
know. I don't know how I.
But I feel what you're
Yeah, yeah.
saying about
But
wishing the second language was something that you felt more internalized, right?
I don't know. You say that because I mean, what I was telling you is that I really like English. I sometimes I feel more comfortable speaking about like my
Mm-hmm.
feelings and stuff like that in English. I know it feels smoother to me, and yeah. But I also like Spanish. It's good fun, and it's supposed to be a one. It's supposed to be complicated to learn. So I'm glad they already
Yeah,
made.
now I just have to brush it up, right?
Yeah, I mean the grammar in this
Yeah.
case, as you say, right? And yeah, that can be a really tricky to be gentle on what I'm saying, but yeah, I mean it's a matter of practice basically. Grammar is the boring part
Right.
of the language, I would say, because I'm teaching right now, and I can feel the way I would be explaining this to my students, and yeah, it sounds really boring. That's why I'm more into
Right.
teaching the expressions and
Yeah.
grammar, like little by little, and yeah, like a couple of minutes of grammars and then
Yeah.
vocabulary
The thing I
expressions
always
and
tell
stuff
my
like
students,
that.
I'm also teaching English right now for immigrants. And so a bunch of my students are from Ecuador, which is
Hmm.
funny because I was there. And then I also have a lot of students from Ethiopia, Somalia, a few from Morocco or Vietnam. So I'm from all over the world. But the thing I always tell them is grammar is important, but the purpose of language is to communicate. So if I can tell you a whole story and my grammar is
Yeah,
wrong, but you know what I'm saying, it doesn't matter if the grammar is wrong because the purpose
yeah,
of the story was understood.
yeah. Because if you do it the other way, like the language is going to be too complicated. You're gonna get
Right,
boring. You're
exactly.
gonna quit it,
So,
right?
yeah. How long have you been teaching English?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's been like a month, maybe more, but yeah, it's not much time, but it's really great, and I think doing it
Do you
more
volunteer
often
teach or are you doing it as a job?
as a job. It's
Okay.
I'm doing it from
Are
home,
you still
so
live
that's really
do you
cool.
guys are you still in quarantine in Peru or are people out and about?
And not so much. I mean, in Peru, like right now, people can go out and do the stuff, but we're still being careful, wearing masks when you're on the street all the time, and all the measures that you have to do,
That's
like
good.
distancing and all that.
I know I was thinking about what that would be like. I
Yes,
was trying to move back to South America before the pandemic hit, and I was thinking all about salsa and bachata because I love to salsa and bachata, But I was like, during a pandemic, how does that look like? I can't be like face to face with somebody to dance.
Yeah. No, you have to take your lessons.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad you found my profile and we got a chance to
Yeah.
chat.
Yeah, me too. And hopefully, I will try
Perfect.
to look
Wonderful.
for
I'll look
another
forward to talking
reservation
to you
with
again,
you.
Daniel.
It's
It
really
was
nice.
nice to meet you. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.